Hey everyone, before we dive in, please hit that subscribe button to support my channel and stay updated with more stories like this. 17 and already broken. My mother's words cut sharp as she shoved my backpack against me, as if it carried a curse. You're not welcome here anymore. We're not raising your shame. Hi, I'm Maris Hale, and at 17, those words carved me hollow, leaving my spirit bare to the winter's bite. That night taught me how silence stings, how a porch light can burn like a spotlight on your disgrace, how a door that once felt warm can slam with the finality of a judge's verdict. 22 years later, that same door trembled under a persistent knock. I stood frozen, a dish towel clutched in my hand, my breath thin as a whisper. The air held the faint scent of lemon polish and rising dough, my home's quiet earned fragrance. On the wall, the shadow of the brass door chain traced a fragile line, like a distant horizon. I listened. Another knock, sharper, demanding. Muffled voices, too familiar, stirred the air. Blood knows its own chaos. Maris, open the door. My brother's voice called, older now but still thick with the swagger that used to bruise my shins under the dinner table. A woman's voice followed, polished and performative. We just need to talk. It's urgent, my mother said, her vowels still pressed flat. Urgent. That word had once been a weapon. Back then, urgent meant signatures, demands, endless sermons about sin, and a trash bag stuffed with my belongings. I stared at the lock I'd fitted myself, its click a steady pulse after years of piecing myself back together. My hands tightened. I remembered the girl I was, trembling, defiant, cheeks wet with tears. And the woman I'd become, firm hands, a steady job, something tougher than shame woven into every dawn. Open the door. We want the child, my mother said. Those 7 words yanked the porch of my youth right into my present. The towel grew damp in my grip. The dough in the kitchen rose patiently, like faith. I felt the old fear creep up, then collide with something sharper. Not anger, but clarity. I slid the chain free with a quiet clink. The house held its breath. The road, the trees, the birds, all paused. I opened the door. There they were. My mother, polished and unyielding. My brother, jaw set. My father, eyes calculating. 2 cousins lingered like shadows that had learned to move. Their faces held something new need. Where's the child? My mother demanded. I let the cold breeze slip through the doorway, carrying our past with it. I met their eyes one by one and asked softly, what child? Who are you? The air between us grew colder than the wind. Their gazes flickered at my question, not from confusion but from the edge in my voice, honed by years of silence. My mother's lips tightened, a reflex when control slipped away. Don't toy with us, Maris. You had a child. You shamed us, but we heard the child lived. Her eyes flicked to my brother, as if passing a baton of cruelty. He stepped forward, boots scuffing my doormat. We need them. That kid, your kid, is ours by right. We deserve to know where they are. Ours by right. The phrase twisted in my throat. For a moment, the hallway blurred, and I was 17 again, standing outside with a trash bag, my body aching, my heart pounding against a future they'd stolen. They'd cast me out without food, without a hand to hold, without a glance back. I'd learned to survive by convincing myself their voices couldn't touch me. But here they stood, demanding. I steadied myself, fingers gripping the doorframe. Its smooth wood a testament to years of rebuilding, sanding down pain the way I'd smoothed my inner screams. You're mistaken, I said softly, each word deliberate. There's no child here for you. My father's voice broke the tense quiet, slick and heavy. We heard otherwise. Someone said the child's grown now. Successful. We're here for what's ours. Don't complicate this. I let the silence stretch, watching their confidence waver. The kitchen clock ticked faintly behind me, steady, unyielding. My mother's eyes tried to pierce mine, searching for weakness, but found only her own hunger staring back. You gave me nothing, I said, voice even. And now you come asking for something. What you're after isn't yours. The porch creaked under their shifting weight. Doubt flickered across their faces. My brother's laugh was sharp, forced, masking unease. You think you can talk to us like this? After all you put us through? You ruined Mom's reputation. You cost Dad his standing. I cut him off. I was 17. You threw me out, pregnant and alone. What did I ruin? My life or the image you wanted to sell? The words hit hard. For the first time, they didn't look united. My cousin shifted, eyes dropping. My father's hand twitched, brushing the railing for something solid. My mother stared past me, as if her gaze could force its way inside. I stepped forward, claiming the threshold, making them lean back. You're lying, my mother snapped, but her voice cracked. We know the child exists. Someone saw records. They said your mistake made something of themselves. We deserve. I whispered, letting the word burn. You deserve to live with what you did. You deserve to remember the night you locked me out while I begged not to freeze. You deserve every silence I've given you for 22 years. The porch light hummed, casting their faces in half shadow. Their confidence crumbled, replaced by something raw. Fear, perhaps, or the realization I wasn't the girl they banished. My father leaned in, voice low. Tell us straight. Where's the child? I let the question linger, heavy as fog. My hand shook, not from weakness, but from memory pressing against my chest. Then I tilted my head and smiled, not cruelly, but with a calm they couldn't breach. What child? I repeated, softer, like a melody turned sharp. Their flinch told me I'd struck first. The silence stretched taut, ready to break. My mother's hand gripped her purse strap until it groaned. She craved control, as always, but control doesn't return after 2 decades. You can't hide forever, she spat. We know you carried a child, Maris. You can't erase that. I leaned against the doorframe, my fortress. Funny, I said quietly, because you erased me without a thought. Her painted lips quivered. My father's eyes narrowed, sizing me up like evidence he could still bend. My brother's jaw clenched, grinding anger into the air. But it was my quieter cousin who broke first. She's not lying, he muttered, voice trembling. There were rumors that night that she lost it, he stopped as my father's glare sliced through him. My mother's head whipped toward him. Be quiet. But the crack had formed, their certainty shattered, and the truth they'd always feared slipped through. I let the moment breathe, heavy and intentional. You don't know the story, do you? You never stayed to find out. You just threw me away. That's all you ever did, discard and forget. The porch felt smaller, the air thick with their discomfort. They'd come expecting me broken, still carrying their shame. Instead, I gave them questions that burned colder than the winter air. My brother tried again, voice sharp with desperation. Then why are we hearing about a child now? Someone's lying. If not you. I tilted my chin, holding his stare, letting my silence push him back. Maybe, I said, voice calm as stone. The lie was never mine to carry. Doubt bloomed across their faces like a gathering storm. They'd come hunting answers, but they were the ones unraveling. The air grew heavier, thick with unspoken truths. My mother's polished mask began to crack. A bead of sweat traced her temple despite the chill. She hated uncertainty, hated losing the script. Stop toying with us, she snapped, voice rough. Tell us where the child is or you'll what? I asked, stepping closer, the door wide behind me. Throw me out again? Take what was never yours. You already did that once. My father's eyes darkened. He leaned in, breath sour with coffee and anger. We built our lives on respectability. That child, if it exists, threatens everything. Don't you see? We need to control this. Control. Their favorite word. My pulse beat steady, defiant. I folded my arms, watching them squirm. Maybe the problem, I said slowly, is you think everything belongs to you. Even me. Even something that was never yours. My brother stepped forward, frustration carved into his face. You're lying. There was a child. People don't just make that up. You're hiding something. His certainty sounded like pleading. I realized then they hadn't come with facts, only desperation, chasing rumors, clinging to a story they'd abandoned long ago. I let a smile flicker, quiet and unsettling. Isn't it curious? I said. You never believed in me, but now you trust rumors. The cousins exchanged uneasy glances. The porch light buzzed louder, as if the house itself leaned in. My mother's voice broke, brittle as ice. Then tell us, Maris, was there ever a child? Her eyes locked on mine, desperate, terrified, seeking a truth she had no right to. For the first time in 22 years, I saw her fear, not of my answer, but of my silence. I let it hold her captive. Then, softly, I said, maybe some doors stay locked for a reason. My words fell like stones into calm water, ripples tearing through their composure. My mother's face stiffened, but her eyes betrayed panic where control once stood. My father's voice cut in, rough and deliberate. You think silence shields you? It doesn't. If there's no child, your shame was for nothing. If there is, we'll find them with or without you. I leaned against the doorframe, steady as the wood beneath me. You had your chance to claim me, I said evenly. You slammed it shut. You don't get to crawl back now because you want something. My brother's fists clenched, knuckles pale. We're family, no. I cut in, sharp enough to slice the air. Family doesn't throw you out like garbage. Family doesn't leave a 17-year-old bleeding on the street because her existence embarrassed them. The cousins stood frozen, eyes darting like spectators at a fight they hadn't expected. One muttered something, maybe a prayer, maybe a curse. You've built this fantasy, I continued, voice growing steadier. You tell yourselves there's a child because you need to believe I carried your legacy. But the truth? I let the question hang, then whispered, you'll never deserve it. The wind lifted, brushing my hair across my face. Behind me, warm bread scented the air, my home, my life built without them. In front of me stood the people who'd cast me into the fire, now trembling in its smoke. My mother's voice cracked, almost pleading. Maris, please, just tell us. Is there something? Someone. I studied her, the woman who'd once said I wasn't worth a roof or a name. Desperation laced her words now. Something, I said at last, voice low, almost gentle. Yes, there's something. I let their hope spark for a breath. Then I let it fall. But it's not yours. The porch went silent, only the winds hissed moving between us. Their faces shifted, hope flaring, fading, flickering like a dying flame. My mother opened her mouth, but no sound came. What do you mean, not ours? My brother asked, voice breaking. I stepped forward, closing the door softly behind me. Just me and them under the porch light now. The house sealed like a sanctuary at my back. I said, whatever I carried back then stopped being yours the night you locked me out. If you wanted a claim, you should have offered a hand, not a sentence. My father's mouth tightened. So it's true, he said quietly. There was a child. I took a slow breath. Memory surged the hospital room, sharp with antiseptic and rain. My shaking hand signing papers, the weight of a tiny blanket I'd never bring home. The moment my heart learned to break. There was, I said, voice steady but soft. And there wasn't. My mother's eyes darted, confused. What are you saying? I held her stare. You'll never know. That's the price of what you did. Her breath caught, and for the first time, she looked small. My brother's anger faded into hollow shock. The cousins shifted, unsure whether to stay or flee. I let the truth, or its absence, hang like smoke. Maybe someone out there grew up safe. Maybe they didn't. Maybe your rumor is just a ghost you made to excuse yourselves. But either way, they're not yours and they never will be. My words carried no malice, only a cold, hard certainty, forged by 17 years of survival and 22 years of silence. I watched realization dawn on their faces, slow and heavy. They hadn't come for answers, they'd come for forgiveness, and I wasn't offering it. They stood in the glow of my porch light, a fractured picture of what I'd once called family. My mother's eyes shimmered, not with love, but with the sting of losing power. My father's jaw clenched, grasping for control that no longer answered. My brother's bravado dissolved into restless steps. Even the cousins seemed smaller, shadows realizing they were only echoes. I didn't slam the door. I didn't shout or shove. I stepped back into the silence I'd crafted. My silence, and let the night air seal the gap between us. You came for a child, I said softly, hand resting on the door's edge. But you left one behind long ago. That's the only truth you'll ever own. My mother reached out, fingers trembling as if she could grab the lost years, but her hand hung unanswered. I closed the door gently, the lock clicking with finality. On the other side, their voices rose, confused, angry, pleading, but they were distant now, like ghosts wandering a world I'd left behind. The kitchen welcomed me with the scent of golden bread, ready to be sliced. The house hummed its quiet rhythm, clock ticking, kettle sighing, walls breathing peace. I sat at the table, alone but not lonely. I thought of the girl I was at 17, shivering on a curb with a trash bag and fear. And the woman I was now, whole by my own hands, scarred but unbowed. Some stories don't end the way people expect. Sometimes revenge isn't fire or rage. It's the quiet of a life rebuilt, untouchable. I buttered a slice of bread, folded my hands, and whispered into the stillness. They came for what was never theirs, and they left with nothing.